Hey friends, here I am once again to talk about books with y'all. Pretty much that's what I've been going on. Um, First I'll go through a book that I finished, and some things that I'm working on right now. So, a book that I finished, Captivating by John and Stacey Eldridge. It is unveiling the mystery of a woman's soul, and let me tell you, this book was amazing. If you are a woman, whether you are Christian or not, read this book. It will tell you so much about like the origins of woman's trauma. And I know there's a male version of this as well called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge, which I also want to read just, so you can kind of understand more men and their trauma and their brokenness, and how we can heal together. Okay. Um, but this book was awesome. A lot of it spoke to me. I think I cried through like every single chapter that I read here. And it was such a blessing to me. And I still have a lot to work on, obviously, but I think that this helped to put a spotlight on why, why I'm going through some of the things that I'm going through, and how trauma from, a distant parent, or, a distant father specifically, and things like that can really um, cause a lot of struggle through life. And it was just really impactful. And how, the fall of Adam and Eve, right? The beginning of humanity, how their original sin still lives on in each and every person in the different way. Like Eve's lack of trust in God. Like she thought, well, God's holding out on me. Let me eat this fruit, kind of thing. And she listened to the serpent, ate the fruit, and so forth. And Adam's passivity, and just he was there, but he let Eve do whatever she wanted without saying, "Hey, Eve, we shouldn't do that." So it's interesting because I do think that in my life I've certainly struggled with trusting God, and I'm sure every single person does. It's hard. Faith is not an easy thing, but it's important. And but certainly this was just really timely, really impactful. And again, I would suggest any woman to read it, whether you are a Christian or not. Of course, I think this will transform you and help you to see something even better. But there are also prayers in the back, which is awesome. Prayers for salvation, prayers for just healing from the trauma of being a woman in this world, and also healing for if you've had sexual sin or anything like that, healing for that as well. Um, or trauma, sexual trauma, things like that. So, really awesome, really good book. Again, I would advise any woman to pick this up, or husbands, if you're wondering, maybe why is my wife going through what she's going through? Have a read, okay? And wives, read Wild at Heart. I plan to read Wild at Heart. I'm not a wife yet, but I plan to read it just to understand better. So, anyway, this was amazing. I actually really want to reread it again very soon. Okay, and since I finished, because I always have kind of like a Christian nonfiction going at the same time as fiction, I'm going to be picking up A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis. This is my mom's book. It's super old, but it's super cool. Um, so, yeah, it's called, it says up here, A Masterpiece of Rediscovered Faith. He went through a lot, for sure. His wife passed away, and that was certainly a time of struggle for him. I don't know if it says. Let's see. Oh, here, we'll read what it says here on the back. Um, a grief observed will be a comfort and inspiration to anyone who has ever lost a loved one. In April 1956, C.S. Lewis, a confirmed bachelor, married Joy Davidman, an American poet with two small children. After 4 brief, intensely happy years, Lewis found himself alone again and inconsolable. To defend himself against the loss of belief in God, Lewis wrote this journal, an eloquent statement of rediscovered faith. In it, he freely confesses his doubts, his rage, and his awareness of human frailty. In it, he finds again the way back to life. And that's just sounds beautiful, number one. And I love um, C.S. Lewis's works. I love the way that he writes things. I've read a little bit of Mere Christianity. I don't own it yet, but I do plan on getting my hands on that and The Great Divorce and a few other of his books, as many as I can. But I'm really looking forward to read this. So I'll be reading this. I don't think it's very long at all. Yeah, it's not even 200 pages. So it won't take me 150 pages. So it won't take me very long to get through it. But when I read a Christian nonfiction, I don't just like buzz through it. I'm like mindfully taking it in, praying about it, thinking about it, journaling about it, and considering, God's goodness and what do I need to glean from this that can help my soul and my walk with God to just improve. So, um, excited about that. And for my current fiction read, I am reading Snow Globe 2. I took off the outer part of it, the dust jacket or whatever. But I'm reading Snow Globe 2. Obviously, I'm not very far. I'm like 111 pages in. It's really good. It really does pick up right where it leaves off in the last one. At first, I was kind of confused. I kind of wish that I had reread the first one, but it's just like so much of a commitment to read another one that's like almost 400 pages. Um, but because some of the names, I'm like, wait a second, do I remember who that is? Do I remember who that is? And so I just needed a little refresher. But once it got going, and she does obviously like kind of explain things as she's going through, like, oh, and then this happened, and oh, you recall that this person was here or whatever, or this person did this, or this is what happened here. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's giving me little nuggets of refresher, and it's not like in an annoying way, but it's like in a it's just a little refresher for those of us who decided not to read Snow Globe 1 and then Snow Globe 2. But it's really good so far. I was actually, because me and my mom spent a weekend in Maine, and I was planning on getting some beach time and book time. Okay. That was my plan, but God had other plans, and it rained the whole first day, the whole main day that we were there. Um, so we did go to the beach, but it was rainy and obviously not going to read a book while it was raining. So I did read a little bit in the hotel room, but I didn't get a lot of reading in, but I do plan on continuing. So basically, well, I'm going to make a specific video about Snow Globe 1 and Snow Globe 2, to explain what is happening. My cat just knocked something over. Um, to explain what's happening in these books, and I will obviously refresh myself with Snow Globe 1 a little bit anyway. But basically, because I can't really explain this one without giving a spoiler for Snow Globe, so I guess I'm not gonna. But the main character of this, who ended up revealing a really crazy thing, the big reveal in the first book, she is now being framed for murder. And this is not really a super spoiler because it actually says it on the dust jacket. So if you picked up this book at all, you would find out that she's getting framed for murder. So she's being framed for murder in Snow Globe, and Snow Globe is kind of like off the chain right now. Like, it is just, it's not doing well. There's still, as you may not know. So Snow Globe is the world of Snow Globe. It's Earth. It's just normal Earth, but it's gone into a frozen tundra. Like, a new ice age has come. Okay, and so everybody who lives outside is freezing all the time, and they work at power plants, and the power plants are to power this place called Snow Globe, which is literally like an encased city, that is temperature controlled, and all the electricity that people on the outside of Snow Globe uh, work for creates power for Snow Globe. Okay. And in return, for those who live in Snow Globe, their lives are on TV all the time. Their entire lives are some sort of reality TV show, or not really, it's not reality, but everybody there is an actor, a director, or a producer. And the actors' lives are always monitored. Always. Whatever you do, it's for the show. Okay, so you better be on. And they have like minutes where they call it the slate is hit or whatever, and the slate is like that, and they get like 10 minutes of a break of being themselves, of their acting selves. But every other time, if the slate has not been hit, they are an actor, they are being on TV. And so basically the cost for living in snow globe is that your life is entertainment for the frozen masses outside, okay? And so our main character, by circumstances that I will explain in the longer video, ends up in snow globe, and she ends up uncovering a horrific plot of Snow Globe, a really shenanigans happening in there. Okay, maybe what you see on the out, is not all it appears to be. But in this one, now that she has uncovered the plot, she's got a target on her back. But Snow Globe, for whatever reason, they have a disaster meter, and a disaster meter is like a giant thermometer that goes up, can go up to 100, and essentially the disaster meter goes up when like directors say they try to hide um film or something. So like say something was caught on film that was like really not looking good for the actor, and it might make the audience think something bad of them. Well, the director could cut that film and get rid of it, but that puts the disaster meter up. So you're not supposed to do that. Or if an actor, because they have like places where cameras can't go, like little, like, places they can change and stuff like that. And I maybe go to the bathroom. I can't remember, but I assume. Um, and so if an actor stays behind one of those privacy walls for too long, then the disaster meter goes up. Because it's like, this is supposed to be entertainment for the masses, baby. Why are you hiding? It's so sick, dude. And so things like that can make the disaster meter go up. And because of certain events that are happening in this right now, the disaster meter hits 100. And when the disaster meter hits 100, someone from the outside gets to send in a letter, or yes, they already have letters from the outside, and the people on the outside get to pick what the weather disaster is going to be, because the weather is, it's made up by the people who live in Snow Globe, because they have complete control over the temperature. Okay. And I guess the last time they had a disaster meter, which was before Chobam, who is the main character, before she was there, was they had a popcorn snowstorm, so it was all popcorn. Um, that kind of, it can be that crazy, it can be that silly, okay? But uh by the fear in these people right now, I feel like it's going to be a really bad disaster. Like they're hoping it's going to be just like a chill disaster, but they don't know. It could actually be like a real, like, tornadoes, hurricanes. It could be anything, and they would make it happen, because the masses asked for it. Okay. So it's a terrifying world, but super interesting. I think there's just a lot to be said about like people's lives being on display for the whole world. I mean, does it not speak to our own society and what we find entertaining? We as human beings find it entertaining to look at people who have it better than we do, and we want to watch them suffer. We want to watch them have joy. We want to watch them because we either want to live vicariously through them, or we want to say, haha, you don't have it so good, do you? Um, I mean, I used to, especially when I was like in my 20s, watching reality TV was like a huge big deal for me. And now, not so much. I really can't stand reality TV. I feel like it's just like, ugh, it's fake. So it's like, why even bother? But anyway, Snow Globe 2 is turning out to be really interesting because there's a murder plot going on, and um, a a disaster going on. So I don't know what's going to happen. And that's the thing, is like at first, because I feel like it the character that they're showing that is potentially framing Chobam, like they're already kind of pointing you in this direction, like she's the one who's framing her. But I'm like, it can't be. That's way too obvious. So I know there's something deeper going on here, and I can't wait to find out. And the thing is, I really have no idea where this is going, because I felt like the first one wrapped up so well with the whole plot with Chobam and everything, and I was like, what more can they do? But there were some unanswered questions, okay, and I think that's where we're going to get into. So I'm really excited, because I think it's going to be like, because there's a major corporation that runs Snow Globe called Yibon, and I think it's really going to be taking down Yibon, and I'm really looking forward to that. Ooh, it's going to be exciting. Okay, anyway, so we started on this. So I'll once I'm done with it, I will come back here and actually make a video about Snow Globe and Snow Globe 2. Okay, so as I said, we went to Maine, okay, and of course there are so many cute bookstores in Maine. We only went into one because I didn't have enough money to go into more than one. But me and my mom bought a couple of books, and super excited. So I want to share them with you. And I actually made sure, except for one of them was just a used book in which I got for like $7 or something. So I was like, yes. But the other two books are actually based on Maine authors or events that happened in Maine. Because I was like, let's get something like, let's get something for real. Let's get something Maine-y. So I'll start with the one that doesn't have anything to do with Maine. So I got this as a used book. I think it was a library book. I can't remember. All of the books that were on the used book stand looked like they were like old library books, but this was the only one that had any interest to me. So it's The Supernaturalist by Ian Colfer. Obviously, he's the author of Artemis Fowl, and I really like Artemis Fowl books, um, especially the first one. Mainly the first one. The other ones are good though. I think I own one, two, and seven. So random, but I really like those ones. Um, okay, I'll read this one for you. So I got this for like $7 from a used book. So it says, in the future, in a place called Satellite City, 14-year-old Cosmo Hill enters the world, unwanted by his parents. He's sent to the Clarissa Frayne Institute for Parentally Challenged Boys, which I think is funny. Freight class. At Clarissa Frayne, the boys are put to work by the state testing highly dangerous products. At the end of most days, they are covered with burns, bruises, and sores. Cosmo realizes that if he doesn't escape, he will die at this so-called orphanage. When the moment finally comes, Cosmo seizes his chance and breaks out with the help of the Supernaturalists, a motley crew of kids who all have the same special ability as Cosmo. They can see supernatural parasites, creatures that feed on the life force of humans. The Supernaturalists patrol the city at night, hunting the parasites in hopes of saving what is left of humanity in Satellite City, or so they think. The Supernaturalists soon find themselves caught in a web far more complicated than they'd imagined when they discover a horrifying secret that will force them to question everything they believe in. So it just sounds exciting. I don't know when I'm going to get to this book. It doesn't seem super long. 225 pages, 255 pages. So it'd be a quick read, but I don't know when I'm going to get to this. But either way, fun. Look at the cover. It's sparkly, shiny. Okay, and then my mom bought this one, but at my suggestion. Actually, I was just like, Mom, I can't buy this book, but I think you would like it too. And she's like, yes, I would. And so she decided to buy it. So, The Frozen River, I've heard a lot of awesome things about The Frozen River. This is up my mom's alley too, because she really likes murder mysteries and things like that. And so do I. But this one is actually set in Maine 1789. Okay, I guess I'll read it. So, when the Kennebec River freezes, entombing a man in ice, Martha Ballard is summoned to examine the body. As a midwife and healer, her diary is a record of every birth and every death, crime and debacle that unfolds in the close-knit community of Hallowell. Months earlier, Martha documented the details of an alleged R assault, um, committed by two of the town's most respected gentlemen, one of whom has now been found dead in the ice. But when the male physician declares the death accidental, Martha is forced to investigate on her own. So I'll just leave it there. But a mystery is afoot. Okay. So I think my mom is going to read this first because she bought it, and I told her because she was like, "I'll buy it so you can read it." I was like, "Mom, you buy it. You want to read it. You read it first." She's gonna read it first. But I'll read this eventually. I'm sure it's very exciting. I can't wait. Because I have had this on my, like, I would like to read this, but I figured I would get it from the library, but now we have it, so it's very exciting. But I think it's like over 400 pages. Or no, actually, it looks like it's just 400, so that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So we will get to this one day. One day. And then lastly, I got this. This is this won the Maine Literary Award finalist, Moonbeam Children's Book Award. Maybe those are two separate things. I think those are two separate things. Um, so this is done by G.A. Morgan. Yeah, G.A. Morgan is a woman. So here's the description. It says, the journey to Ida begins. An ordinary summer outing transforms into a life or death struggle when five children wash ashore on the magical island of Ida. Swept up into a centuries old battle between good and evil, they must find the courage to save not just Ida, but their own world as well. Um, and this is actually a trilogy. They did have all three books there, but I am not willing to buy more than one book in a series if I don't know that I like it. So, like, I'm not gonna buy all three and then be like, oh no, I didn't like it. What do I do with all these books? I mean, I would just give them away, but that's money that I do not have. So I just bought the one, and it looks really good. It's quite long. It's about 400 pages, or maybe just shy of 400. It's called The Fog of Forgetting by G.A. Morgan, and it is the Five Stones trilogy, book one. So I just personally love middle grade books. Um, as you can see, my shelf of middle grade right here has grown exponentially. It's also like little kid books. Like I have Dr. Seuss books up here too, and Magic Treehouse books, the Boxcar Children books, things like that. But most of it's middle grade. Most of it from like here onward is middle grade. I really like middle grade. Oh, and I've got a middle grade. Um, I personally love middle grade because YA has become too spicy lately. Used to be that YA was my thing, and in fact, my own books I consider to be YA fiction because they have a lot of they talk about war, violence, and trauma. And I don't think that, and though those things can obviously be in middle grade books, like think about the Chronicles of Narnia, that had war and sadness and trauma. It's not that children can't experience those. Even the False Prince has war in it and things like that. But when you elevate the war and trauma and the stakes in a certain way, and I think when you start, doing things like that, like then it becomes, YA. And for me, I think mine are personally YA. I guess a middle grader could read it, but I just don't think that it's a great idea personally. I think I have my books like would be like 14 and up, whereas I think that, middle grade is more like 14 and down, like maybe 11 to 14, and then 14 and up is YA, or should be. I don't think it is anymore. Um, I think most YA books are too spicy. Um, but anyway, I actually prefer to read middle grade now because I think they have those pure stories of just self-discovery and overcoming horrible odds, the battle of good and evil. I noticed that a lot of YA, and I'm not saying that there aren't like gray areas in life or whatever, there certainly are, but like when it comes to the battle of good and evil, there is good and there is evil. And I don't think we need to like gray area evil. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of times, and like it's fine if there's a character that is maybe struggling with the concept of being good or being evil, or they don't know where they fall. I even have characters like that in my books where they're struggling to see where they fit in, or their worldview is entirely spun on its head because they believed something was good and it turns out it wasn't. Um, that's part of life, right? But I think that too much YA now is trying to make things that are inherently evil, in my opinion, into something that could be good. Like, I don't think that there's, and, Harry Potter. Harry Potter is its own thing. I don't read Harry Potter anymore, or own it because I just have no interest in it. But I know a lot of people like it, or they don't like it because of witches. I personally think that witchcraft is an evil thing. People claim that they can use it for good. I disagree, um, because the Bible is very explicit about witchcraft being evil. And I think that, some people use it in their writing, you know, in a more playful, funny way, like again with like Harry Potter, I mean, people don't use wands, whatever. It's kind of silly. But when people start getting more into like real witches and things like that and making them seem like they're good, I don't want anything to do with that. Um, anyway, this is a tangent. We don't need to go here, but I just think that middle grade I prefer to read these days because I think it's a safer read. I'm not going to read, I'm not going to run into a spicy scene that I didn't expect, or um, weird concepts of like, well, evil stuff might actually be good and blah 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 blah. I just don't need that in my brain. I don't want that in my heart, and it just doesn't work for me. So this is why I prefer middle grade. I'm really excited about the Fog of Forgetting and seeing how this goes. And again, if that's something that you like, you love Harry Potter, or you like whatever, that's fine. But we're all different and we all have different things. And like, some people are like, well, if it's fiction, it's not real. And I'm like, yes, correct. That is right. But there are certain things that I don't want in my brain, and I don't want I just don't want. I don't want to read about it. So anyway, that's just me. So that is my video. That's my haul there. A little couple little books. I'm actually proud of myself that I didn't get a little more crazy. But the little bookstore that we went into didn't have a lot of options. So that was a good thing. um, and I actually found the Fog of Forgetting in a kid's toy store, which I thought was really fun. So anyway, that's that. I think I'm gonna leave it there. So what books are you reading right now? What are you looking forward to? Do you like middle grade books over YA books these days? Because YA is getting a little too spicy. Or whatever. Do you like historical fiction? Have you read C.S. Lewis's nonfiction? Do you like C.S. Lewis's nonfiction? Comment down below. Tell me what you think. I guess I'll leave it there. So have a great day, guys. Remember that I love you, but Jesus loves you way more. And have a good one. Bye.